Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for remaining with us. You're still watching Financial Markets. My name is Anthony and I am your host. And this is the number one station, Smart 24, that gives you business info 24/7. Now, as we wind up the market in Uganda, Kenya Airways yesterday was one of the losers who came out at the bottom, and he lost by about 0.06% to a price closing of about 124.78 Ugandan shillings on the stock market. And when you look at the graph for Kenya Airways, you can see that it's not a very turbulent graph there. You can see that they always have prices stabilizing after very sharp peaks and not much movements, as you can see on the graph. And Kenya Airways, a Kenyan aviation company that was first incorporated in 1977 as a wholly owned entity by government of Kenya following the collapse of the East African Airways. And the company was privatized in 1995 when 26% of the shares of the company were sold to KLM, the Royal Dutch Airlines. And then in 1996, involving an initial public offer, the company's shares in the biggest share offering in Kenya's history, which was oversubscribed by over 82%. Kenya Airways shares have attained the blue chip status on the Nairobi Stock Exchange owing to, among other factors, a high level of corporate disclosure, earnings growth, and the shares' relatively high liquidity. The decisions to cross-list the airline's shares on the Uganda Securities Exchange was made as part of the company's strategy to be a major player in Africa. Now, Kenya Airways has been listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange since the 28th of March 2002. And the Kenya Airways company is traded on the Uganda Securities Exchange under the ticker symbol KA. Which of course also indicates the International Securities Identification Number KE00090801084. Kenya Airways currently is the 7th most valuable stock, and that's of course where the story begins on the value of a particular stock, and it is coming in position number 7. It is the 7th most valuable stock, with a total market capitalization of 709 billion Ugandan shillings, which makes about 3.16% of the entire Uganda Securities Exchange equity market. We have not seen any volumes traded on the counter recently, and in terms of shares outstanding, we have over 5.68 billion shares that are currently outstanding, and the total market capitalization of about 709 billion Ugandan shillings. Kenya Airways recently was struggling with debt, a very huge amount of debt. Of course, that has been increasing, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic period in the year 2020-2021. And the government of Kenya came out recently saying that it will cover all this debt, and that was, of course, according to reports from Kenya Airways during their annual financial results, revealing meeting, where they were revealing their financial results. They still had losses being accrued from the years 2020-2021, and extra losses probably in the other years before the pandemic as well, though they were just exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. And the government of Kenya promised, of course, to do what they call a bailout for this company in particular, because it's the national career of the country. The government could not watch as the company, of course, collapses in debt. But in terms of the market performance here, we can see that there's not much activity, not much trading done on this counter, but also the pricing is relatively stable compared to the pricing is relatively stable compared to other counters here on the stock market. And then you're seeing that at a 0.08 drop. That was about 0.06% drop. The company lost to a value of about 124.78 Ugandan shillings on the stock market yesterday. The company currently is the company is led by Mr. Alan Kilavuka as its group managing director and CEO, and the company's board of directors is chaired by Michael Joseph, who is a 75-year-old gentleman, and is composed of 13 members whose names are Joseph Michael, of course, the non-executive chairman, Mr. Kilavuka Alan, the group managing director, Mr. Thuge Kamau, who is the non-executive director as well, and Musioke Karo, who is a non-executive director, Odio Otieno Martin, who is a non-executive director, and a couple of other members there. One of the indicators of a good company is good governance, good leadership. So if you're looking at investing in a company, you also must look at the profile of their leaders and see how far they have gone. Let's look at now. Let's move on to Centum. Centum also came out as a loser yesterday. Centum Investment Company is listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange since February 10th, 2011, over the last 10 years. And Centum is traded on the ticker symbol CENT, that is CENT, CENT. And the international securities identification number for the company is KE000265. Centum currently is the 13th most valuable stock, and we are talking about value in terms of market capitalization, and it currently has a total market capitalization of 202 billion Ugandan shillings, which makes about 0.899% of the Uganda Securities Exchange equity market. And we can see that Centum Investment yesterday lost by about 0.19 Ugandan shillings to 302.99 Ugandan shillings, and that was a 0.06% loss on the counter. And we've seen some activity on the markets with 1,200 shares traded yesterday, and the gross turnover of these was 348,000 shares on the market, and the total number of shares that are outstanding are 665 million shares, with the total market capitalization that is multiplying these shares by the current price of 302.99. We're seeing that they're currently standing at a market capitalization of 202 billion Ugandan shillings. Centum closed the day, like we've seen, at 302.99 Ugandan shillings per share on the Uganda Securities Exchange, after having recorded a drop of 4.7% in price of their price there, closing price of 317.88 the day before. Centum, however, began the year with a total price of 444.82 Ugandan shillings, but has since lost 31.9% of that price valuation, ranking it the 15th on the Uganda Securities Exchange in terms of year-to-date performance. Still, furthermore, the shareholders' worries are compounded by the fact that Centum Investment has also lost 7% of its price valuation within the last 1 month. So, from the 8th of July to the 8th of August, we have lost 7%. And still, in terms of year-to-date performance, from the 1st of January to the 8th of August, the company has lost over about that 31.9%, ranking it the 15th in terms of year-to-date performance. So it's one of the poorest performing stocks on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Centum Investment, still in terms of traded volumes, it is the 8th most traded stock and on the Uganda Securities Exchange over the last 3 months, from the 3rd of May to the 8th of August 2022. And Centum has traded within this period a total of 101,400 shares, and these are valued at 29.4 million Ugandan shillings over this period, with an average of 1,610 traded shares per session, and a volume high of 100,000 shares per session, which was achieved on the 19th of the same period, the 19th of July, within the same exact period. That is the statistics coming in from there. And when you look at the activity on the last 10 trading days, you can see within the last 10 trading days, you have Centum on the 8th of August trade 1,200 shares, and then nothing more within this period of 10 days. But on the 19th of July, they traded about 100,000 shares, and then on the 20th of June, they traded about 200 shares, and so on and so forth. And so we can see not much activity, very significant decline in prices. Again, it's up to you to really invest, but you can see that this is not the best stock right now to invest in. That's a matter of fact. Looking at their year-to-date performance, looking at their you look at their total number of shares, you look at how the company has been able to fare within the volumes sector. They're not trading much volume, so really we are trying really to just have it on the market, but nothing really much from Centum here on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Let us move on to another mover and loser. Yesterday, NMG, that is Nation Media Group of Companies. This is a media house that is, of course, centered in Kenya, but has subsidiaries here in Uganda, subsidiaries in Tanzania as well, with several radio and TV stations. And this particular company has been listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange since the 19th of October 2010. This is when the company was listed. Well, over about 12 years ago, that's when this company got listed. The international securities identification number for the company is KE0000380. And the company is currently the 14th most valuable stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Of course, Centum comes in the 15th position there, but it is the 14th most valuable stock in the Uganda Securities Exchange, with a total market capitalization of 122 billion Ugandan shillings, which is well about 0.543% of the Uganda Securities Exchange. Yesterday, they lost about 0.40 Ugandan shillings to close the day with a price of 645.08, and that was a 0.06% drop in prices. And when you monitor their graph, it is really quite turbulent on the graph there, with several highs and lows and curves and turns, but you can see that at least the average pricing of 600 has been maintained throughout the year, with highest peak prices going to up to 700 within this year. And then as far as last year is concerned, we're seeing prices were even as high as 800 and so on there. They have over 189 million shares that are outstanding, and the current market capitalization is 122 billion Ugandan shillings, of course, as per their total value on the market. No activity that much, and still not much traded volumes in the past on Nation Media Group of Companies. And of course, we move on to Equity Bank Limited, who was also one of the losers yesterday. Equity Bank Limited, when we look at their graph here, Equity Bank Limited has lost about 0.96 Ugandan shillings yesterday, closing with a price of 1,563.84 Ugandan shillings, and that was a drop of 0.06%. Now, Equity Bank Limited is listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange since the 18th of June 2009, and it trades under its ticker symbol EBL, that is Equity Bank Limited, and the international securities identification number for the company is KE0000554. And the Equity Bank Limited is the first and the number one most valuable stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange, with a total market capitalization of 5.79 trillion Ugandan shillings worth of securities, and this makes about 25.8%. That's well above, a little above a quarter of the total equity market on the Uganda Securities Exchange. And when you look at their graph still, you can see that prices have been moving up and down for quite some time, but the averages of about 1,600 have also been moved off to averages of about 1,400, and then you can see some peaks there, a few peaks above 1,600. That is a beginning of the year, that is between January, February, and up to the month of June. And then you can see a very deep decline there at the beginning of the month of July, between the month of June and August, where we see the drop of up to 1,200 shillings. And right now we are counting a loss of 0.96 Ugandan shillings, closing with a price of about 1,563.84. And Equity Bank Limited has several competitors, those that are dealing in the financial services sector, including Stanbic, DFCU Bank, Centrum Investment, Bank of Baroda, and the like. If you're interested in buying this particular stock, yes, it's cross-listed here on the Uganda Securities Exchange, but as well you can find it on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, where you can buy from that exchange as well, because of activity. Again, as I said, you don't want to just buy stock. You want to buy stock where you see value, where you see growth, where you see activity. Equity hasn't had very much activity this year. In fact, not even much, but almost nothing has been done on this counter. But at least if at all you buy on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, you still have some activity, you still have some opportunity to be able to sell whenever you would want to sell. Let's move on finally to the one and only Jubilee Holding Company Limited. Jubilee also lost yesterday by about 4.91%, 91 Ugandan shillings, and 0.06% off their price, and they are down from 8,000 to 7,998.39 Ugandan shillings. That was a 4.91 Ugandan shillings decline. When you look at their curve, not so cool there. They have been declining since the year began, since last year, matter of fact. Looking at December, for example, 2021, there was a decline. October 2021, they were trading at as high as 1,000, close to 1,200 shillings. And right now we are talking prices of 7,000. That is a loss of about 4,000 all the way from December, October last year. And then you see that within the year, they have declined absolutely to the best they can. And you can see them settling off at 8,000 and slightly below 8,000 as per the closure of the markets yesterday. Now, Jubilee Holdings is a Kenyan insurance company that has been in operation since 1937 in the East African region. The company's operations in Uganda were revived in 1992 by the formation of the Jubilee Insurance Company Limited. And of course, under this company, we had the Aga Khan Fund for Development, Economic Development, the International Finance Corporation, and the Development Finance Company of Uganda Limited. Jubilee Holdings Limited is one of the leading insurance companies in Uganda. On the exchange, they have been listed since the year 2006, that is from the 14th of February, and they have traded under the ticker symbol JHL. The international securities identification number for the company is KE0000273, and they are currently the 8th most valuable stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange, which is about 2.14% of the entire Uganda securities exchange market. They have competitors like National Insurance Company, who has a much lower price of about 6 shillings and much lower capitalization of 8.49 billion. And then their year-to-date loss, they are on a year-to-date gain. That is National Insurance Company of 17.7%. Equity Bank Limited, it's also one of the other competitors at a 2.11% year-to-date loss. Centum Investment at 31.9% year-to-date loss, and so on. So still, you're seeing that Jubilee Holdings is not that tradable on the Uganda Securities Exchange as well. Now, let's look at the summary of this trading yesterday. At the end of the trading day, we had a total of 10,194,850 shares traded yesterday, and a total value of 216,320,850 shillings, Ugandan shillings, that were traded on yesterday. And the current market capitalization of the USE, Uganda Securities Exchange, is 22.4 trillion Ugandan shillings. As I already mentioned, only 4 people participated in trading, with Stanbic having the highest volume of 10.1 million shares, 10.2 million shares, and then Wumeme, MTN Uganda came in at a 6,650 shares, and Wumeme at 4,800 shares, while Centum traded 1,200 shares. Regarding the Uganda Securities Exchange All Share Index, which is the index that tracks the average performance or the aggregate performance of all the listed equities. It is the benchmark index for all the listed equities on the exchange. We are seeing that the benchmark index shed off 4.6 points to close with a loss of 0.35% points, closing at 1,303.27 points. On the other hand, the USE Local Company Index lost 8.26%, lost about 0.96% to 273.33 points, making it a one-week loss of 1.16%. That was the Uganda Securities Exchange. We're going to take a very quick breather. When we return with Nairobi. Of course, they are going to the polls today, but how are their stock markets doing? With that and more in the next segment. Stay with us.